Joe Hart, hey buddy. Be interesting to see if you hang out today. Thank you for the like and the restream. Welcome. All right. Wait for some people to pop in and then pop out. Hang out with us today. We are talking about 3 key words today on the Nooner. Success, discipline, freedom. I'm going to adjust this camera a little bit here. Hold on. So if you guys are going to hang out with me today, I need participation. We're going to be looking at, hey, what do those words mean to you? Where did they come from? How did they get started? We're brainstorming today. So make sure you've got 2 free thumbs. Who's got 2 thumbs and is willing to participate in the Nooner today? Participation required. So thank you guys for being here. Welcome, welcome. So what's going on today? It's Monday. Everybody have a good weekend? What's going on, Bill? Bill showed up. Thanks for being here, Bill. Okay, any new timers, any first timers, any fresh faces today on the Nooner? Appreciate all the streams and the retweets. I'm going to try and watch this going down on Twitter as well. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. All right, so hey, what's going on today? My name's David Bradley. Yes, appreciate that. All right, so hey, what's going on today? My name's David Bradley. I am your host. Today is the Nooner, every weekday, Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time. I'm coming in here and I'm going to be dropping some noontime nuggets about either sales or business or life. So for those of you that are just joining us, if it's your first time here, hey, Jose Garza, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Hey, listen, Jose, I'm going to need some participation from you today, so get your thumbs ready because I'm going to need some words and some insight from you, my man, YouTube Bend of Older, and Bill, I'm counting on you as well. So you might want to just start thinking with success. What does success mean to me? Freedom. What does freedom mean to me? Discipline. What does that mean to me? Because your participation in here is going to be very, very crucial. Steve Stock, thank you for being here. Looking forward to your feedback as well. Thank you guys. So who am I? Who is this guy who's going to be talking? Hey, Laura, thanks for being here. Appreciate you coming in. Who am I? Who's this guy? My name's David Bradley. I'm a sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. Been doing that since March of 2011. What we do in our company is we go in and we literally work with other companies to help them find and then handle missed opportunity, which generally results in a production increase of about 15 to 30%. Okay, sometimes it's more. If you want some information on that, if you'd like a little bit more data about, hey, how can I do that in my company or in my world, feel free to reach out to me at any time. We're here to help. My email address, david@grantcardone.com. You can also call me direct, 310-777-0352. That is the bat phone, rings right at my desk. A couple other things about me. I'm the author of a book called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. Smoked the cigarettes for about 15 years, could not figure out how to kick that habit. Couldn't figure out how to quit. Basically, tried multiple times, multiple different methodologies and pathways, but could not quit to save my life. So I figured out, hey, what if I just don't stop? Or at least, what if I don't quit? What if I just stop? And that led to some brainstorming, just like what we're doing today. And I came up with an idea and a plan and a methodology to finally stop smoking, and that's journaled and documented in the book. It's called How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. If you've ever tried to quit smoking, you understand what that means. You can check me out at stopdon'tquit.com, or you can pick it up on Amazon, How to Stop Smoking Without Killing Anyone. I'm also the founder of a hashtag, Rich Man's Gym. So hashtag Rich Man's Gym. If you hit that up on Instagram or Twitter, maybe even Facebook, you can find some cool stuff. But basically, that's about home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit. That is my next project. That will be a book sooner rather than later. So that's who I am. Basically, I'm in the help business, right? I want to help people get better. Better in their business, better in their selling career, better in their health. Okay? Home-based strength and conditioning for body, mind, and spirit, right? So that's what the Nooner is about. So every day I come in here, you've had lunch for your body, I'm going to give you some lunch for your brain. I'm going to give you some piece of motivation or some kind of juicy little nugget you can grab on, take with you, and we'll get a little funky. Okay, so today, what are we talking about? Success, discipline, freedom. Okay. Hey, Lydia, thank you for being here. We're talking about success, discipline, and freedom. Why? In case you're wondering, let me tell you why. Okay. So last week, there were 2 days we didn't have a nooner because I was out with clients, and I'm driving up from Los Angeles back to where I live on the central coast of California, and I tune into the Tim Ferriss podcast, and Tim, he's the author of a book called The 4-Hour Workweek. I don't necessarily know if that's real or not, but he does have a pretty cool podcast, and he interviews some really interesting people, and he likes to deconstruct success. So he had on his show back, let me see when that exact date was. I'll get it for you. It's right here. If you want to listen to it, you can. It's a long one. It's 2 hours and change, man. And so if I have a 3-hour drive, I mean, it made perfect sense. I probably might do it again because it was that good. He interviews Jocko Willink, and Jocko is a retired Navy SEAL. The dude's about 43 years old, so he's literally got 1 year on me. I'm 42. This guy has seen some stuff. He has been there, and he has done that. He fought in Iraq. He fought for Ramadi to take over that city. He joined the SEALs in the early 90s, like right around the time I'm graduating from high school. This dude's hopping into the Navy SEAL program, very different. He is the author of a book called Extreme Ownership, which is about to drop in bookstores. And for him, extreme ownership, hey, who just joined us? Hey, Sandy, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Today we're talking about success, and we are talking about freedom, and we're talking about discipline. And this conversation, this brainstorm, was inspired by a podcast I listened to by Tim Ferriss and Jocko Willink, who is a retired Navy SEAL and now a business consultant. And on the Nooner, we talk about Noontime Nuggets about sales, business, and life. So I found there's a lot of wealth you can get from this. There's a lot of, it's humbling, right? Because you realize what he has seen and what he has done, most of us will never do, and thank God for that, right? None of us will ever have to make some of the decisions he's had to make or go through some of the things that he's had to go through or see what he's seen. And now this guy takes the principles he learned as a SEAL and leverages it into business and consulting. So his next book is called Extreme Ownership. And so on the podcast, here's the point. He says they're talking about success and what success means and who successful people are. And for him, he talks about this, in his mind, a successful person is somebody who brings light to the darkness. Now, if you've ever had to fight an insurgency or help people or go into an area where the enemy has no rules, where they literally will have no problem skinning people alive, suicide bombings, horrible stuff, right? So to have success mean, or a successful person is someone who brings light to the darkness, right? And then you get that wisdom coming from the Navy SEAL, and we tend to think of these guys as, not very emotional or not very connected. And when Tim asked him about what he thought was the most important trait in leadership, without even skipping a beat, he says humility. Okay, so there's a lot you can gain from this. But one of the things he talks about is that for him, his mantra is discipline equals freedom. Now, I think that's very, very interesting. It's a unique dichotomy, right? Because when you hear discipline, that means typically something that's structured or regimented or not real, not very free, if you will, right? So interesting that for him, discipline equals freedom. But the more I thought about it, and the more I listened to him explain it, it started making a lot of sense, right? And then one of the things that we talk about in our company is that success, truly at the end of the day, the number one definition, or when you know you've succeeded, is when you have reached a level of freedom where you can do anything, go anywhere, have anything you like. Really, truly, you're free, right? And if the entire economy collapsed, you've got a goose egg or a nest egg to where you're still free, right? You've risen above. You're at a place where you've got total freedom. Now, freedom goes on two levels because homeless people are relatively free. Okay, but they do have some pretty big restrictions. So this was an interesting dichotomy. So what I want to do today, and what I'd like to get from the meerkat world, is let's talk about these three things. I'm going to start with success. We'll transition into discipline. Then we'll look at freedom. Let's break these things down and really dig into what the word means. But more importantly, I want to know what it means to you. So let's start with success. So for those of you, I gave you some forewarning. Hopefully your thumbs are ready to rock. So let's hear from some of you guys. Success, what does it mean to you? And while you're typing, while you're putting in your comments, I'm going to go crack open the dictionary online, and we're going to define success as the dictionary would. But what I want to do is hear from you. What do you believe success is? What does it mean to you? Okay. Bill tells me that the audio is 2 seconds ahead of the video. Okay. That wouldn't keep you guys from participating, would it? Okay, so success, what does it mean to you? I'm going to go look up the definition on my laptop. Then I'm going to give you some thinking music. Lydia, what does success mean to you? Living life my way. That's right, Sandy. What is your, is that the Frank Sinatra living life my way? Financial freedom, Bill says. Damn right. What else? Jose, where'd you go, buddy? Laura, what's your take on this? What does success mean to you? And Bill, how do you know when you got financial freedom? What is that? Is there a dollar amount to you that says, hey, I'm financially free? Waiting on you, Ben DeVolder. No pressure, buddy. Okay, so while you guys are putting down some more feedback here, I'm going to read to you the definition of the word. Okay, so success. The accomplishment of an aim or purpose. The president had some success in restoring confidence, he says. That's the example, okay? Another definition for success, the attainment of popularity or profit. His play was a success. Another definition, a person or thing that achieves desired aims or attains prosperity. The example, I must make a success of my business. So then there's some adjectives in here. Hollywood ending, prosperity, affluence, wealth, riches, opulence. Love that word. Triumph, bestseller, blockbuster, sellout. That's interesting. There's a whole magazine dedicated to success. Bill says the government stats say people are happy if they have 5,000 pounds in the bank. Okay, now if my memory serves, that's roughly 8 to 10,000 US. That doesn't really, I don't know about you, but I'm going to need a little bit more than that. Let's see. Princess Sandy. Success is being happy, healthy, and doing what I love without stress. Great definition, Sandy. Let me tell you what I think stress is more often than not. And I don't, see if you agree with me on this or not. In Wayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, he defines success as desire of the ego. That's stress. Stress is your ego pulling on you. And I think that's it's a very interesting thing, when I feel like I'm under stress, it usually means that what's happening does not necessarily match what I think should be happening, right? And then I don't feel like there's anything I can do about it much. So it's like when you feel like you're under stress, you got to take that moment to be like, okay, what can I do? Let's just focus on what I can do versus what's happening in the moment right now. But yeah, I love the fact that success for you is being happy, healthy, okay, and being able to do what you love without stress. And to me, that means no ego, which is fantastic. So cool. Thank you for that. So the next thing I want to look at, hey, Laura, where's your definition of success, man? You're on a nooner here. We need some participation. How do you define success? We'd love to get something from you too, Lydia. Because you're all over, man. You're a real busy girl on the Meerkat, and I love watching your streams. So you've definitely got some insight on that, because I know you're talking to some pretty heavy hitters out there that really have a sense of what that is for them. So I'd love to get your feedback, considering the people that you interact with on a regular basis. So where did the word come from? Okay, so it's success is English, obviously, now, but its origins are Latin based. And let me read some of these things here. Bring this around. We got suckadary. What you call me? Suckadaddy. Suckadaddy. Suckadary. I don't know no dairy. What you talking about, boy? So, come close is some of these words. So, suckadary, successus, okay, and then succeed. So succeed really popped up around the 16th century. So I'm going to go into the online etymology dictionary. Sorry, I just get kind of silly sometimes. Stress is no control over a situation. Right, exactly. But here's the thing about that, Sandy, is that I believe there's always some control. You may not have control about like what's happening, like if you're in a plane that's going down or you're stuck in traffic. It's a little bit more realistic. What you got control over is what you do about it and how you respond, which is always your choice. Let's see, success, 1530s, equals result, outcome, from Latin successus, an advance, a coming up, a good result, happy outcome. So, succeed, meaning to come after. So, check that out, right? A thing or a person which succeeds, I mean, you can succeed the king. Okay, so the king dies, whoever comes in next, he has succeeded the king. He comes after the king. Okay, so success is always right after. But right after what? Okay, and what does it take? How do we get there? Okay, so anybody else got 2 cents? 3 cents on what success means to them? Don't chicken out. I'll tell you what success means to me, because it does come back to freedom a lot. I want to know that I can go anywhere I want, do anything I want. To me, the ability to travel and like hop on a plane or go somewhere without any constraints, to me is success. I want to be able to know that my entire family is secure, and if they need me to help, that I'm totally there to do that. I know for me, I will know that I have reached success. I don't know. Actually, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm ever going to feel like I've truly succeeded, though. I feel like I can always do a little bit better. Princess Sandy says, so the sum of your efforts. Yes. Exactly. Great definition. Thank you for that. So, hey, we just got somebody just popped in. Let me just say, hey, a little shout out. Christopher Poirier Kim. Oh, man, you're a trainer. Fantastic. Love it. Thank you for being here. We are talking about success. Thank you for the restream. Thank you for the like. We are talking about discipline, and we are talking about freedom. So, I know I don't recognize you, so I think this might be your first time coming on to the Nooner. So thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. And if you've got an opinion on what success means to you, would love to get that from you. Feel free to throw down some comments there. So, for me, success is freedom, and the freedom to go anywhere, do anything that I want without any constraints. It is to be able to live where I want. It is to be able to take care of my family without any kind of stress on me and my financial situation. That to me is very, very, very important. It's one of the things that gets me out of bed every single morning, is to know that if the fit hits the shan for one of my family members, whether that be my father or a cousin or an uncle or anybody, that I am able to, no problem, got you handled, come stay with me, here's a little bit to get you by, whatever. That's very important to me. So, everybody's got their own different view of success. Everybody's got an idea of that. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition into, and see if Chris throws down his 2 cents here. But what I want to do is transition into talking about discipline a little bit and what that word means and where it came from. But thanks again, Chris, because I think your input will be very, very valuable considering you're a personal trainer. So. While we're on success, maybe that might even be worth talking about. What does success look like physically? And if it comes back, for me, success physically means that I'm not restricted in movement, that it doesn't hurt to get out of bed, it doesn't hurt to walk, it doesn't hurt to run. And for me, I'll know that success physically for me is when I'm 80 years old and I can jog. I want to be 80 and lifting kettlebells. Pretty important for me. So, so freedom truly does mean success, and we talk a lot about that in our company. So then let's move into discipline, shall we? You guys ready to go to discipline? Let's have some discipline transition music. I love the organ on this deal. Okay, discipline. Discipline is the suppression of base desires and is usually understood to be synonymous with restraint and self-control. This is from Wikipedia. Self-discipline is to some extent a substitute for motivation. Okay, that's interesting. Here's a quote from Lou Holtz. Without self-discipline, success is impossible. Period. That's the exact quote. Without self-discipline, success is impossible. Comma, period. I agree with that. You guys agree with that? Freedom and happiness. That's right, Princess Sandy. Freedom and happiness, they go hand in hand. Let's look a little bit more into that. That's fascinating to me, okay? Related topics. So again, we've got discipline, the suppression of base desires. So that's anything. You hear base desires, and I know all of you in your dirty minds, you went right to sex. I did. But that's anything, though. That's like, hey, punch somebody in the face. That's a base desire, right? It's usually not a base desire is typically not productive. Usually understood to be synonymous with restraint and self-control. Okay, so that's, how does that lead to freedom, though? Because a moment ago, weren't we just talking about being able to do anything we want, whenever we want? So how does that lead to freedom? What is that all about? How do you get freedom from suppression of base desires, restraint, self-control? Those things don't sound free to me. So here's what I think is interesting. But what does discipline mean to you? I went to Catholic school. 8 years. Now, it was in the 80s, so, their concept of discipline in the 80s was probably a little bit different than the concept of discipline in, say, the 60s or the 50s, where they'd rack you on the knuckles with a ruler or any of that weird corporal punishment stuff that we hear about. But let's look at the word discipline. Let's dig a little bit deeper, okay? So if you go to dictionary.com, what do you got? Training to act in accordance with the rules. Drill. Activity, exercise, or regimen that develops or improves a skill. Training. Punishment inflicted by way of correction and training. Rigor, or training effective of experience. Behavior in accord with rules of conduct. Behavior and order maintained by training and control. Good discipline in the Army. Bill says, tension, by the way, the two. Okay, and then subjective, different to everyone. Discipline is subjective and different to everyone. Yeah, totally. It's got multiple meanings, and that's why I believe it's very important when you hear this word is to really look at, hey, what's that all about? Like, where's that coming from? What does that truly mean? And more often than not, we're going to hear a word and we're going to lose. It's not going to make. It's going to have a different impact. And someone says, hey, you need more discipline in your life, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Because you may be thinking of a Catholic school situation or a military situation, but the reality is discipline could be a set or system of rules and regulations that you use to create that success that you're after, that you use to create that freedom that you're looking for, right? So that word has some meaning, and you may need to discipline yourself. But here's the thing. Let's go a little bit lower here. Let's look at the etymology of that word. Discipline, again, Latin. Discipulus. Disciplina. Disciplina is Latin for instruction and knowledge. Ooh, Princess Sandy's got a good one here. She says, most people under 40 are in the me first immediate gratification mode. I'm thinking you missed a word there. They don't know a thing about discipline, or they don't think discipline. They don't think that discipline now brings benefits later. Yeah, totally. Yeah, understand what you're saying, and I think that's valid, valuable. I'm 42, and I think I just missed it. You know, would I have liked to have had more discipline in my life growing up from home? Probably. Would that have helped? Absolutely. Do I, especially when I hear wisdom from a cat like Jocko here, do I feel like, man, I probably should have spent some time in the service? Yeah, I do. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. In fact, I really don't. I know that everything that has happened to me up to this point has been valuable and helped make me who I am today and get me to where I'm at. But hindsight being 20/20, and in retrospect, would a couple of years in the service helped? Probably would have. Bill says discipline versus procrastination, right? It's the discipline to me is always the ability to push through. You want to do this, right? But you're able to not and do that. Years ago, I heard somebody on the radio say, discipline or self-control is the difference between doing what you know is right versus doing what you want. Sometimes those two things don't jive. They're not synonymous of each other. So, to me, discipline is the difference between doing what you know is right versus doing what you want, which I think is very powerful. So when you keep looking at this word discipline, though, the root word is disciple. Now, for those of you that are religious or grew up in a Christian household, you hear the word disciple and you immediately go to like Peter and Paul and Mark, Judas, like disciple, like the dudes, right? The 12. Andrew. But a disciple is anybody. So if you literally walked into a room of first graders, they're all disciples. Or you go to a college classroom, they're all disciples. Okay? It's just we don't use it in that terminology anymore. And when you hear disciple now, you think of like, you know, a bunch of dudes hanging around the Dalai Lama. Those are his disciples. But if disciplina means instruction and it means knowledge, self-disciplina is self-knowledge, self-awareness, okay? So if we're looking to go from success to get to freedom, right? Success and freedom are synonymous. They're on the outside of this thing. Discipline is that thing in the middle. This is what is necessary to create success or freedom. Does that make sense? So like when you look at, let me go to the etymology. Let's go a little bit deeper into that, okay? Discipline. Penitential, chastisement, punishment. That's Old French, okay? That's when we get this whole Back to sex again. Potential chastisement, punishment, right? You've been a bad kitty. Okay, that's discipline. Discipline, physical punishment, teaching, suffering, martyrdom, directly from Latin, disciplina, instruction given, teaching, learning, knowledge. Also, object of instruction, knowledge, science, military, discipline. The Latin word is glossed in Old English by pediacipi, meaning branch of instruction or education. First recorded late 14th century to mean military training, that of orderly conduct as a result of training. Okay, orderly conduct as a result of training. So what do we do in our company? Again, sales training. So we teach people how to sell. So we literally discipline you into becoming a better salesperson. But again, it doesn't necessarily have to go back to this crack of the whip. I just think it's fascinating that the root word is disciple, which is a student. Okay, and that means you're a student of self. If you're talking self-discipline. Okay, and self-awareness is the most important piece. So earlier, Sandy was, we were talking about stress and what you choose, how you choose your response. That to me is real self-discipline. The ability to have this feeling or an urge or desire, a base desire, to have that, and then make a decision to do something different. And that's always been for me the separating piece between human being and animal, right? So if you've got more feedback or more thoughts on discipline, who put two and two together, disciple and discipline? That the first time I heard that I was like, wow. So is that new for you as well? So check this out. So now we've got success, we got discipline, and these two things is what is going to lead to the freedom. So let's look at that word. And what does freedom mean to you? It's all synonymous, right? Aren't these words like starting to like really sort of merge? Because what Jocko talked about was that when he's under discipline, it gives him the freedom. So he disciplines his body, right? I don't know if my personal trainer Chris is still hanging out, but Chris, if he disciplines his body, then he's got more freedom, right? If I discipline my body so that I can still jog when I'm in my 80s, I have more freedom, right? Does that follow? So let's look at the word freedom. Freedom defined. You just Google it. It pops right up. Bang. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Read it again. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So success, if it equals freedom, then success is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. What's in the middle? Discipline. Freedom can also be defined as absence of subjugation to foreign domination or despotic government. Bill's in the UK. Bill's free. We're here in the United States. Free. Laura's in Texas. It's all about free down there. I think you're in Texas, aren't you? Sandy, where are you from? But freedom, okay? The state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Let's break that word down. The origin is Old English. Freedom. Freedom. Maybe that's how you... Freedom? Is that how Mel Gibson said it? Freedom. Online etymology dictionary. Freedom. Old English. Freedom. Power of self-determination. state of free will, emancipation from slavery, deliverance. Free is the adjective dom, meaning exemption from arbitrary or despotic control, civil liberty. Like kingdom, freedom. Got it? Dom. Late 14th century, meaning possession of particular privileges. It has been said by some physicians that life is a forced state. The same may be said of freedom. It requires efforts and presupposes It presupposes mental and moral qualities of a high order to be generally diffused in the society where it exists. That's John Calhoun, 1816, U.S. House of Representatives. Okay, Sandy, you're in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, all kinds of freedom down there, right? Florida, no state tax. Unlike the 13% that I'm getting hammered on. Okay, so isn't this interesting? Freedom, possession of particular privileges. It's in the 1570s. So what does that mean? Like, you get to do whatever you want. But how do you get there? You need discipline, okay? So if you want more success in your life, if you want more freedom, you're going to need some discipline. It's almost, at this point, if you haven't figured out yet, it's almost a requirement. In order to have true freedom, you must have discipline. You will find the freedom within the restriction. Okay? So when you have your kids coloring within the lines, there's a lot they can learn from that goes above and beyond. Right? So think about that. How can you color in the lines in your own life, in today, right? So, look, once you realize that success and freedom is something that you want, the discipline to get there is a decision you have to make. I'm going to make a decision to create as much success in my life so I can have as much freedom as humanly possible. That's a decision you have. Everything starts with that. Everything you've done, everything you've ever accomplished in your life started with a decision. A little spark, a decision, and then it's followed up with action. And that action will require some serious discipline. You need to raise your expectation level of yourself. Okay? If you follow Grant Cardone, Grant talks a lot about closing the gap between what your current state of reality is and where your true potential is. Do not work to a quota. Do not work to a number or a limit, man. Work to your potential, which is unlimited. Sandy says, I'm 59 and most of my friends had amazing portfolios. The recession hit and now they're having to not retire, continue working, and totally start over. Right? I'm not interested in that for me. I don't know about you. Right? But, like, no thanks, pass. I'm stacking some cash, man. That ain't going to be me. Okay. So, make a decision. Raise your expectation level. Okay? Chuck the naysayers. Eliminate negative thinking. Whatever's popping up in your mind, could be, the negative thinking could be yours, could be somebody else's, but just, all right? What do we got here? No negativity allowed, baby, right? You got to stay positive. You got to keep pushing. Champions dominate. Don't be a little bitch. Whatever it takes. That's why these things are on my wrist every day. To eliminate the naysayers. Sometimes the naysayer is right up here. It's right in your own mind, okay? Other times it's somebody who cares very deeply for you that doesn't get it. But you need to take that out. Either put the blinders on, plug your ears, whatever. But avoid the naysayers. And then you need a plan. Freedom requires a plan. Hammer just popped in. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. Welcome. What you just tuned in on, Hammer, is we are talking about, we're brainstorming 3 words: success, discipline, and freedom. What did you guys get from this? What did you hear today? Thank you for the advice, Bill. Or thank you for the compliment, Bill. What happened today? right? We broke down some words that I think are very, very important. Sandy says, I mean, business came to a halt. They had to break open their savings to survive. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people did. I was in the auto industry back then. I saw sales guys not sure if they were going to make it. You know? Guys that had been doing it 30 years didn't know if they were going to get a paycheck. And that's sad, right? And I think a lot of it had to do, especially for them, no discipline. Business was good for so long. We're fine. No big deal. Right? Zen Moments, Bill says. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Tomorrow, hey, I got a special guest on the Nooner. Tomorrow's going to be my first guest star. I'm going to be talking with Michael Cirillo of Flex Dealer. Michael is a marketing genius and a guru. So what I'm going to have Michael talk about with us is the top 3 strategies, or top 3 mindsets, strategies, marketing mindsets. Top 3 marketing mindsets. I hadn't settled on a title. I think I just did. I'm going to write that down. Top 3 marketing mindsets for small business. You guys like that idea? I'm going to start getting some guests on the Nooner. So tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time, top 3 marketing mindsets for small business. Today we've been talking about success. We've been talking about discipline. We've been talking about freedom. This is the Nooner. Tomorrow is episode 49. Thank you for being here. Looking forward to seeing you mañana with my good guy, my good buddy, Michael Cirillo. Have a great day, everybody. Oh, yep, I'm going to tweet about it. Don't you worry about that, buddy. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.